people tell me, but Trevor, you know, if I pay over the length of this loan, which is 30 years, that bank's gonna make $400,000 on me. I'm like, yeah, $400,000 over 30 years. What they care about is when they go to auction, or if they sell it right away, or, you know, if somebody buys it or whatever, they get those cash proceeds from the auction, right? So now you got cash. So say your house was $400,000 and they auction it off and they only get $200,000, because let's be real, wholesalers are who's buying these properties, and they're getting deals on these properties, right? So they buy it for $200,000. The bank's like, you're thinking, oh, well, the bank's losing $200,000. You know, no, they're not. Okay, they got $200,000 in cash. They get to write off the loan, and now because they have $200,000 in cash, they can loan out 9 times that amount. So $1.8 million in loans because they hold that reserve. So they just increase their reserve that they're required to have of 10% by taking that cash deal and foreclosing on you, getting rid of that other loan. Now they can have, you know, 4 or 5 more loans with the one that they just foreclosed on you. And so they don't really care. It's not in their best interest to reinstate your loan. Alright guys, it's gonna be like more of a vlog style video. I'm just gonna walk around my neighborhood on this wet grass, get my feet wet, head over to the path. All right, so what's the reasoning for this video? Okay, so listen, Jessica and I work a lot in foreclosures, okay? And foreclosures are on the rise. Don't kid yourself, foreclosures, I should say we work in pre-foreclosures, but foreclosures are on the rise, okay? The amount of auctions per day are going up. I mean, we're seeing 10, 15 auctions a day, okay? 10, 15, 20 new ones put up on the auction all the time. And, you know, look, it's inevitable, okay? People are gonna go through bad times. They're going, I got a spider web in my head. They're going to miss payments, and you're gonna have to react with it, right? It's just gonna have to be what it is. And, you know, there's ways to kind of fight it, you know. The first thing is you have to figure out, we're in Florida, and you have to figure out whether you're in a judicial or a non-judicial state. Here in Florida, we're a judicial state. And what that means is when the banks want to foreclose on you, they go to the court system. They basically sue you. They set up a complaint, there's a lis pendens, and they're suing you. They're suing you for the amount of the default, which is the rest of the loan, and then what you owe in court fees and attorney fees and all that stuff. So it's not a cheap amount, and as you go along, when you miss 1 month, not only on that second month do you have to pick up that first month, but you have to pick up the second month plus whatever that percentage is that you missed. And you know, when your standard percentage is about 5%, a lot of missed payments are 10%, and that accumulates. So that just keeps going till you pay it off, right? And a lot of people, I contact a lot of people early on in foreclosures, late in foreclosures, and a lot of people are in the perception that the banks are out to help them. You know, the banks are their friend, okay? They're offering me a mediation. They're offering me a reinstatement. They're offering me some deferred payments, maybe some forbearance, which is not paying right away, but start payment and then just extend the length of the term. But they're not, you know, they're not offering solutions that most people can get on board with, or the reason why, because usually a foreclosure starts right after 3 months. So if you miss 3 months payments, whew, that's a tough pill to swallow. You know, that's hard to make up. It's hard for people to come up with 10, 15 grand at a time. You know, I don't care who you are or more, you know, and that's how it goes. So banks aren't your friends. And people tell me, but Trevor, you know, if I pay over the length of this loan, which is 30 years, that bank's going to make $400,000 on me. I'm like, yeah, $400,000 over 30 years. But if they foreclose on you, they get to write your loan off. Bye-bye. Yep, it's written off. Taxes. It was not a profit whatsoever. They lost on that deal, so they're going to write it off. And it's going to affect their bottom line. So they don't really care about that. What they care about is when they go to auction, or if they sell it right away, or, you know, if somebody buys it or whatever, they get those cash proceeds from the auction, right? So now you got cash. So say your house was $400,000 and they auction it off and they only get $200,000, because let's be real, wholesalers are who's buying these properties, and they're getting deals on these properties, right? So they buy it for $200,000. The bank's like, you're thinking, oh, well, the bank's losing $200,000. You know, no, they're not. Okay, they got $200,000 in cash. They get to write off the loan, and now because they have $200,000 in cash, they can loan out 9 times that amount. So $1.8 million in loans because they hold that reserve. So they just increase their reserve that they're required to have of 10% by taking that cash deal and foreclosing on you, getting rid of that other loan. Now they can have, you know, 4 or 5 more loans with the one that they just foreclosed on you. And so they don't really care. It's not in their best interest to reinstate your loan. And so what happens in a judicial state like Florida is you're working with the bank to resolve this dispute, this complaint that they put in the courts, the clerk of the courts. And here's the thing about the clerk of the courts. Okay, just for anybody that wants to know, anybody can file almost anything in the clerk of the courts. Okay, so if you want record on something, like you want record on that something was done, you put it in the clerk of the courts. Hey, I did this to this house. Put it in the clerk of the courts, right? So that's what they do. They open a lawsuit against you. They're suing you. They put it in the clerk of the courts, and now you're working with the banks, but you're not working with the courts. And the courts are the ones actively foreclosing on you. The banks are putting it in the court's hands, and people don't know this. They don't know this, and they don't look on the clerk. They're getting the mail, but they're getting mail from everybody. They're getting mail for everybody in the world who's trying to take advantage of them. Every vulture out there, they're getting mail from. They're getting calls. They stopped picking up calls a long time ago. They're be so behind. They're wishing that they didn't pay their phone bill. That's what they're wishing. Okay. So this is how this system works. They don't want to extend your loan. Now they will, because there's requirements, there's federal guidelines that they have to go by, that they must adhere to stay in the certain programs. And some of that stuff is reinstatements and modifications and forbearances and deferments and different programs to help out people that are behind. But in reality, do they want that? No, they don't want that at all. And the reason is because they make a lot less money doing that. So here's the deal. Foreclosures. People are down on their luck, and all the vultures come out. And I'm not gonna lie, I was once in a position where I had the interest of the wholesaler. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to demonize wholesaling, because there's certain things about wholesaling that are fantastic. There's certain areas in neighborhoods and stuff where the houses are decrepit. People don't have the income to do anything about it. And so what happens is those neighborhoods go down and down and down. And eventually wholesalers and investors and whatnot will purchase those, revitalize the community, sell it for a lot more. And the other houses will get pulled up by the bootstraps for the people that are holding on. And so there's a place for wholesaling in real estate, right? But most wholesalers don't operate in the realm of real estate. They operate in the realm of investing. And many of them do assignment purchases versus actual real estate contracts and working with a professional, which is, in my opinion, a huge issue. We're required to have certain licenses in the state of Florida to operate and do certain things. And then in turn, we have a certain fiduciary duty to our clients. Everything we do has to be in their best interest. So when you sign a contract with me and I'm representing you, everything I do, every decision I make has to be in your best interest. It can't be in mine. So, you know, there's guidelines that get set into place. And when you have wholesalers, they don't have to go by those guidelines. Fine, whatever. I think that personally should be illegal. I think to buy and sell real estate, you should maybe need a license because there's too many people being taken advantage of. And I know everybody wants to say realtors are the ones taking advantage of people. That's not how it works. We provide a service, okay? Now, are there some realtors taking advantage of people? Yes, that's what I'm saying. I could be like that. We have a pre-foreclosure right now. They are 3.5 weeks away from auction. We talked them into listing with us because there's no other way. They're going to auction in 3.5 weeks, and at auction, they're probably, after everything, they might get 10,000 a piece, and it's a divorce case and it's messy, and they're both willing to just kind of go down with the ship because it's vindictive against each other. It's kind of a bad situation. But here's the real kicker of it. Everybody in the world is trying to take their house. Like, after I listed the home, I'm getting these wholesalers calling me, hey, I'll still pay you. I'll give, you know, just 10,000 over. And what I tell them is, hey, listen, if I list this and sell this and I get, you know, a lot more money, then they walk out with $75,000, $80,000 a piece, somewhere in that ballpark. And if I don't do what I'm saying I can do, then, you know, they're going to end up basically going to auction and losing it, or somebody's going to just purchase it and they're going to get like 10, 15,000. It's absolutely ridiculous how these wholesalers work. Like, they're trying to give you cash for keys like a lender would in those type of situations, but almost illegally, right? I mean, they're taking advantage of these people. And don't get me wrong, on a probate where nobody wants the house, taxes, and somebody gave up the house, whatever. There's different situations where wholesaling is awesome, but those wholesalers should work with a realtor. They should work within the industry. I'm not saying over-regulate because I like less regulation. However, when you don't have any regulation, you end up with, you know, the scam artists, and they're just going around taking advantage of people. And yes, I can call up these pre-foreclosures, get an assignment deal, find an investor, sell it to an investor, assign the deal, make $50,000, and only do like 4 or 5 of them. Instead, I'm on the phone getting yelled at and yelling at people for them trying to steal money from these people. I'm only making 10 grand on this whole deal, and I've never had so much work. You know, these pre-foreclosures, when you do them right, they're a lot of work. These homeowners, she's not going to qualify for a loan anywhere. So how am I going to find a rental for her? Now, in this specific situation, we did negotiate an extra year rent back for our client. So now we sold. They're going to each get, you know, $75,000 a piece roughly, and she's going to have a year's rent. So those are things we can negotiate and stuff, but you need a realtor for that. You need somebody that's good at their craft and that knows what they're doing. And I'm sorry to say, most people are just looking out for themselves and they're looking to take advantage of you, right? And so what I'm saying with this is, at the end of the day, when I make $10,000 off this $350,000 townhome, people are going to look at me and be like, well, you made $10,000 off this unfortunate soul. And it's like, you know what? This almost went to auction. And if we would have got to the auction date, I do have attorneys to push off the auction date. So we can take care of things, okay? But if it would have gone to auction, they would have ended up with like practically nothing. And she would have been kicked out. No credit score, hardly any income, going through a divorce, like 2 kids. What do you want? How do you think she's going to get a place to rent? And who's taking care of her? Who in this situation? Look at those cool cypress trees. I'm sorry, that's big. Who's taking care of these people, right? I'm at the end. I can walk, actually, I'll walk down that way. Who's taking care of these people, right? Who has their best interest in mind? I don't understand what the heck's going on, okay? This video, like I said, is more of a vlog. It's more of a any kind of complaint. And it's a business proposition because I am trying to get more pre-foreclosures and trying to help more people. So I got a vlog going, dude. And I'm talking about pre-foreclosures. I do a lot of pre-foreclosure. I don't know if you know about that. Not in here. But I'm talking about it because, dude, they're on the rise.
Oh yeah. Call me.
Dude, this country's in such a bad state right now.
I know. You don't have to tell me. I mean, I just watched the DNC, one of the Republicans, not Republicans, Democrats say, you missed.
Yeah.
Right there, you should go to jail. Me and you will go to jail.
I know. You're not gonna. I'm gonna cut you out of it, dude. No offense. You're right, bro. We're the same. Don't call yourself fat because we're like the same size. I don't want to be called that. Later, bro. All right, so we had a neighbor walking by, just talking with him. Obviously, I cut that out. Back to where we were going with this, and it's unfortunate because these people don't know who to turn to, and every vulture in the world is calling them, texting them, emailing them, like knocking on their door. I went over to a guy's house the other day. He invited me over. Okay, I don't go over knocking because I'm bald-headed, bearded. Who's going to invite me in? I'm not going to invite myself in. But he invited me over to his house to kind of talk about a few things. And great experience. And he's like, you're the first person that I invited over because you're the only person I've trusted so far. And we're talking with my attorneys, and it's unfortunate because what he needs to do is going to cost him about 10 grand, and he doesn't really want to sell right now, and he wants discovery. And here's the thing is, if you go back for litigation against the bank, which you can do, first and foremost, you need to make sure you're taken care of. The auction stopped. But after everything's done like that, you can litigate against the bank saying that they're illegally foreclosing or they didn't tell you certain things. Most cases, though, you're still going to probably end up selling. What we're doing right there is buying you time, let's face it, you missed payments. Now there are some cases where it is actually the bank's fault, So in this guy's case, when I was over at his house, it's actual real fraud going on here. And we looked at the documents, and look, this is all in the clerk of the court. So when I call people and talk to people and I tell them more about their case than they probably even know, I'm just looking at court documents. So when I tell you, hey, you're not responding to the courts, or hey, the attorney you hired isn't responding to the courts properly, hey, they're still actively foreclosing on you, it's because I'm just looking at the clerk of the courts. It's the same thing that the judge looks at. And when the judge is looking at something, they're making judgments based on what they're seeing. And if the bank's the only one communicating with the courts, then of course you're going to be screwed. You're not communicating with the courts, and they're the ones that are actually foreclosing on you. The banks are foreclosing on you, but the courts are the ones that are actively foreclosing on you. They're doing the process of it, right? And 8 days after the auction, let me tell you, the sheriff arrives on your door. Boom, 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 boom. Did you move out? What are you still doing in here? That you're trespassing? Get out. And they get you out. 8 days. They don't mess around, okay? And let me tell you, Florida passed that anti-squatting law July 1st this year. And trust me, I love it. I mean, I think people should pay for where they live, But part of the thing with that is evictions, oh man, they can get you out quickly now. So you can't be messing around on that type of scale anymore, which I never suggested you do that in the first place. How you doing? Okay, so what should you do? I mean, it depends where you are in the process, and then if you can catch up. But honestly, if you have a realtor friend that works in pre-foreclosures, you should give them a call. Somebody you trust. The problem with most realtors are they don't work in pre-foreclosures. Like, I have a team of attorneys. When I have a situation, and say my client can't pay, if they're selling their house and they can't pay, a lot of times if if they're listed with me, I can get the attorneys to take payment at the end without gouging you as much as like every other attorney wants to. So there's benefits to having relationships. And when you work in a field where everything is about relationships, I work in real estate. That's all it is relationships, right? I am a networker. I connect people. You need a contractor? Hey, let me help you find one. Hey, you need, a plumber? Hey, let me help you find one. I vetted like so many of them based on all the houses we sell. It's just how it works. So being a networker, that's what I do. So on pre-foreclosures, I'm set up for that because I know what I'm doing. And yes, sometimes we can sue the court. Not the court. Sometimes we can sue the bank. Sometimes we can't. Okay? It is almost kind of what it is. And we look at each case individually. What we can do is get you more than what you're probably going to get otherwise. We'll also help you find a location to live, negotiate one in if that's what we need to do. We can also help you pack. We got movers, we got spots, storage, we've kind of networked into different areas to be able to provide services when we do sell your home in a pre-foreclosure. We can at least help you get started because you're going to get money. And depending, so, oh man, spiderweb. Depending if you get money, right? So if you're really in deep and you have to short sell, in fact, I don't think, man, spiderwebs, huh? And you have to short sell, there's a few things we can do in that instance too. You can short the bank. Like, if somebody that wants to buy your house and maybe even sell it back to you, but somebody that wants to buy it, lease option back to you, or work with the bank on a short sale to get it a lot less. But the last thing you want to do is let the bank have it as an REO, because then it's just going back on the market as a full listing and costing everybody something. But if you can short sell it, convince the bank to short sell it, it's probably in the best interest of the bank anyways. They can get rid of that property, they can get their cash money, and they can loan out on 4 more loans in addition to what they currently had. So but you can short a bank and somebody else can purchase it and then lease option it back to you or rent it back to you or whatever. That's the other thing we can do, is we can have an investor purchase it. The problem with that is on most properties, when it's over a certain price, it's harder to get an investor involved because these are, non-conforming, non-qualifying loans. And when you have non-qualifying loans, the interest rates go up. There's no backing by the FDIC. So if the outfit, if something happens, or there's different clauses for acceleration, so there's different things to look into. Anyways, you need to make sure you are definitely working with an expert that knows what the heck they're doing. So here's the other thing, attorneys. And some of you might even be watching this. Listen, I am not an attorney. I don't give legal advice. I refer people to my attorneys. I'm an expert in real estate. I can get the most amount for your house. I can network to find you the best option for you on your situation, on what we need to do. What I can't do is offer you legal advice. I'm not a legal expert, and I learn from my attorneys and learn from being in the situation. But that's all I can offer, just real estate advice. So this was kind of a long video, and it's going to be cut up a little bit, but we'll converse later. And the real thing is, find a realtor. People are being taken advantage of. Wholesalers are not good. Okay, for the most part, they're not good. And a wholesaler should be working with a realtor anyways. If they're not working with a realtor, you might have issues. Okay, that's the piece of advice. We'll talk to you later.